Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 31 of my PySimpleGUI lessons. In today's video, we're going to be introducing tab groups. So tab groups are basically a bunch of tabs where if you select one of the tabs, you can switch to what they appear for their elements. So for fruits, we have apple, banana, coconut, and dates. And for drinks, we have water, milk, tea, and coffee. So let's replicate this into our code. So first, let's import PySimpleGUI as SG, and then if we look at this, we have the different, this is a list box, as you can tell here, like this. So let's make the list. So for list number one, list one, let's say that fruits. So in fruits, we had apple, banana, coconut, and dates. Then in list 2, which is the drinks, we have water, milk, tea, and coffee. Water, milk, tea, and coffee. Alright, so now let's put both of these lists into list boxes and put those list boxes into tabs. So let's work the other way around. So first, let's make a tab 1, the layout for tab 1. So like any other layout, we first have to have square brackets to show this is a layout, and then another set of square brackets to show this is one line. So for this line, we can write the list box, and inside we can write list 1. This would show the apple, banana, coconut, and dates. And then for tab number 2, layout, same thing. We need the square brackets and another set to show it's one line. Then we put in the list box for list 2. And don't forget, both of the L and B have to be capitalized. I made a mistake there, sorry. And then we put both of these tab layouts into a final layout. So this layout, like before, we need to have the square brackets and inside a line. Now here, instead of writing sg.tab, we write sg.tabGroup. So this, in the tab group, we can include tabs. We write brackets to show us an element, and then inside, so inside this tab group, we need to see it as another layout. So we use square brackets to show it's a layout, and then another pair of square brackets to show it's a line, and then now we write sg.tab, and in the first tab, we can write fruits, and we can give this a layout of tab 1 layout. Now that's one tab. Next, we use comma to separate, but in the same line, we write another tab that's drinks with tab 2 layout. Alright, now we just put everything under here, window, sg.window, Python learning, layout, and then while true, event and values equals window.read, and then let's print both event and values. If event equals none, then we break, and then we close the window. So now let's run this to make sure it's working. Okay, so now we have the tabs, but if we're looking at this seems kind of small, the list box. So let's change that. Let's change the size here. Let's say 50 and 5. That should be big enough. But for this one as well, size equals 55. Okay, let's run this. And now it's like how we saw. Alright, let's talk about some of the attributes for this tab group. So attributes for tabs have two different types. There's ones that only affect the tab it's talking about, and there's another that affects all of the tabs. So let's start with the attributes that only affect one tab at a time. So things like title, which we already used. Title is fruits, let's say that. Since title and this one is called layout, since title and layout are the first two, if you don't specify, it gets defaulted. And then some other ones are like background color. Let's say we change the background color to red, and then we would see the background like this. Alright, let's change this back to none. And then there's the pad. We talked about this before. No, not gonna go over it again. Then there's the disabled. If this is true, then after you run it, we are no longer able to select other ones. If this is false, then we can select as much as we want. Alright, after the disabled, we have key. So key is basically the identity. Let's call this one fruits. And then after the key, we have the tooltip. So let's run this. And tooltip, we can see it. This is a tooltip. But if we go into any other tab, we can't get the same tooltip. Alright. After tooltip, we have the right-click menu. The right-click menu, we talked about this one before. Not going to go into too much detail. So we just have a menu. Right, like this. And then we can right-click this. For other tabs, you still can't get the menu. So, yeah. And then last we have the elements justification. But since we only have one list box in each tab, the element justification doesn't do much. So there's left, right, and center. I'm not going to go into too much detail. So alright, this is all of the attributes that can change one tab. Now let's talk about the attributes that can change all of the tabs at the same time. So first we have to understand where we put those attributes. So for this tab, it's in here. For this tab, it's in here. Now we want to affect all of them, so we have to affect this whole tab group. So if we notice, this counts as the layout. So behind this, if we put a comma, then this is where everything should be going. There are many different attributes here. We can say tab location. This is kind of like the title location for frames. There's the northwest, south, and east. But for this one, it's not the cardinal directions, but instead left, right, top, and bottom. So like before, it still uses the same method. If we say this is like right top, don't make sure you don't have a space in between, then it would show up here. We can still interact in things. I'm not going to show all of them. If you want to know about it, we can watch the frames video. And just know the default is top left, which is over here. Only one, it would be in the center. Alright, so after the tab location, we have the title color. So this refers to the title color of all of the tabs that have not been selected. Like if we say this is red, then we will notice the title color is red for all of the unselected tabs. Since fruits is selected, it is still defaulted to white. And if we press drinks, then drinks turns into white and fruits is now red. Alright, let's turn this back to none. And then let's talk about the tab background color. So the tab background color, like the last one is only the unselected tabs. So if we say this is red, then we run it, only the unselected tabs have a red background, like this. Alright. Next, we have the selected title colors. In contrast to only title color, this one deals with the tab that is selected. So we select fruits and it's red, we select drinks and it's red. Alright, and similarly, we also have the selected background color. This is the selected tab's background color. If we say this one is red, then the one that's selected has a red background. If we select drinks, drinks has a red background. Alright, so after this, we have the background color. Okay, so the background color does not focus on the tabs. This focuses on the tab group as its own element. So background color we can say is red, and now we can see this whole background has a red background. This whole background is red, sorry. Alright. After background color, there's font. So font, let's say Times New Roman 15. This only affects the tab elements, not the elements inside the tab. Like since the list box is inside the layout, you would have to do like element font, or you can just change the element here, the element font inside the element attributes. Alright, so after the font, we have the enable events. So like before, if this is true, then whenever we click something, the events is seen as an event. And since we have print, it's continuously being printed. Alright, after the enable events, we have the pad. So we talked about this one before, not going to go into too much detail. Then we have the border width. This one is basically, you can change how wide the border is. If it's 10, it's really wide. If we turn it to 15, even wider. Really wide. Okay. And then we have the key. This key is for the whole tab group, while the keys in here are for these individual tabs. So for this, let's call it like tab group. Alright, and last we have the tooltip. This tooltip goes through each of the tabs. No matter which tab you're on, if we hold our mouse, this is another tooltip shows up. This is another tooltip. But if for the fruits, for example, we have another tooltip, both of them show up like this. This is another tooltip and this is a tooltip. If you go from the bottom, they overlap and you can only see this is another tooltip, unfortunately. Alright, that concludes lesson 31 of my PySimpleGUI course. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. And remember, work, code, succeed with Work for Tuition's lead.